Martin O'Malley and Arizona Governor Jan Brewer went at it over Obama calling Trump a bigot. Let's watch.
Very, very different here, Jake. And Governor Brewer, President Obama doesn't say this about all Republicans, but he does say rightly that Donald Trump is a bigot. Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump, in fact, is making fascist appeals. That's why many self-respecting Republicans are not supporting Donald Trump for president. Look, being president of the United States is the toughest job in the world. And I can tell you as someone who has worked with Secretary Clinton and competed against her, that she is a tough person who's ready to do this job. Donald Trump is an unstable charlatan who is appealing to the worst instincts in people. And I believe ultimately the American people are going to reject that. This is a very different sort of candidacy. This is not the party of Lincoln.
Martin.
Okay, Governor
Martin,
Brewer.
Yes,
Governor Brewer.
We need to discuss policy, and every
I'm
time
to do that. Let's talk about immigration, Governor.
With President Obama and Hillary Clinton, every time you disagree with them, it doesn't matter which subject it is, you're a bigot or you're a racist.
No, that's not
and
true.
I'll talk immigration until we go home tomorrow night.
Let me bring in Ken Cuccinelli.
Let's talk about immigration.
Governor, let me take one break here for 1 second. I want to bring in Ken
Governor Brewer is
Cuccinelli.
absolutely right about that. This is a fallback when you have a president who cannot defend his policies and their outcomes. And so he jumps immediately to the racist card in particular. It's a common tactic for Democrats.
All right, so I have two thoughts about this. Number one, it's just true that Trump is a bigot. If Trump isn't a bigot, then the whole concept of a bigot needs to be eliminated, and it doesn't exist. He wants to ship out 11 million undocumented immigrants. I don't know how else to view that other than bigotry. Because you don't like them, and let's be clear, you're not talking about German immigrants, Polish immigrants, Canadians. No, you're talking about Mexicans, people of Hispanic descent. So you want to kick all them out of the country. You want to ban 1.6 billion Muslims from entering the country. Okay, that's ridiculous. That means that you view Sufi Muslims, Ahmadi Muslims, moderate Sunnis, and Shias the same as ISIS. That is bigotry. That's almost the definition of bigotry. When you launched your speech, you said, they're criminals, they're rapists. I assume some are good people, talking about Mexicans, meaning you're saying a majority are criminals and rapists. No, we call you a bigot because you're a bigot. But they make it seem like, oh, it's this fallback the Democrats go to because they can't talk policy. No, that is policy related, and we call you a bigot because you are a bigot, okay? That's point number one. Point number two is, look, there actually is a grain of truth in the point that certain Democrats overuse that and don't talk about the other policy enough. Why? Because on the other policy, they're not Bernie Sanders. So Bernie can bring up the fact that Donald Trump is a bigot and a xenophobe, and then also pivot to, oh, by the way, money corrupts our political system, and it's horrible, and I'm against TPP and trade deals, and let me tell you about how on these other issues Trump is wrong and I'm right. Now, Trump pays lip service to being on the right side of this, but all Bernie has to say is, you're not against trade deals, you profit from them. A lot of your shit is made in China. End of discussion. So Bernie doesn't over-rely on the bigot point. Obama and Hillary do. Why do they? Because they can't really talk about TPP against Donald Trump because his rhetoric's better than theirs. And Obama's just for TPP, and Hillary is behind the scenes, but she pretends like she's against it now. So she can't hit him on, hey, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. My position is better because he said he doesn't want to cut it. So, yeah, Obama and Hillary, all they play is that card because that's all they have against him because they're not as populist as Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is more populist. Bernie Sanders is more anti-corruption. Since he's more anti-corruption, he can hit Trump not only on his bigotry, but on every other policy, which is why, as we said from the beginning, the best person to run against Donald Trump is Bernie Sanders because he takes away all of his populist and anti-establishment appeal, and on top of that gets to rightly call him a bigot. Whereas Obama and Hillary cannot do that because they're really not all that populist. And they're not that anti-establishment, they are the establishment. So they over-rely on that bigot card, even though it's true.